making that underside of the leaf lighter than the top. Join me and color along on these coffee leaves. Hi everyone, I'm Catherine, the artist behind Bigelow Fine Arts. I'm still doing leaves, but I'm almost finished with them. If you are just jumping in, I have the playlist linked above so you can find the other videos in this fruit bat series. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, so you can join in and color along with me. Good old sepia, always there when I need a good shadow. I'm coming in and blocking in the shadows for these 3 leaves all at the same time. For the most part, I am working on these 3 leaves together. The left leaf I am assuming is facing towards me, although looking at it now, I could see how it could be facing away as well. I chose to see the top facing me, so I am sticking with it. The bottom leaf I am seeing facing away from me, so only the bottom of the leaf is visible. And the final rightmost leaf, I see that as the top facing me, so I will have 2 dark green leaves and 1 lighter yellowish leaf. I block in the shadows, keeping them close to the ribs and veins. I'll eventually soften up the transitions between the sepia and the non-sepia areas, but for now, this works. The shadows closest to the center rib, I have the shadows the darkest, but those along the side veins, I make them lighter and keep them close to the vein. With the earth green yellowish, I add in a base layer over all the leaves. I want to cover everything except the rib, but even if I covered that, it would be fine. I give the shadows slightly more pressure, but for the most part, it is a relatively uniform layer over all 3 leaves. Now for the pine green. I want to keep the pine green to the shadows and blend out a little from the shadow's edge. This is how I will soften up the rather abrupt line I left with the sepia. I blend the edges with the pine green and other layers, moving the edge a little further out each time until it just merges smoothly into the highlight. I work up all 3 leaves, although for the center leaf I give just the barest blending as this will be a lighter leaf. I now bring in the permanent green olive and do the same thing. I cover the shadows I blocked in with the sepia and the parts I blended out with the pine green. Then I blend out the edge even further. After this leaf, I decided to go through and work up the ribs with the yellow lemon to get them covered. After I cover up the ribs on all the leaves, I will come back in with the permanent green olive and finish the other blending and layers with the other 2 leaves. If you've made it this far and have enjoyed coloring with me or just watching, I'd appreciate it if you give me a like and subscribe to stay informed of when I post more videos. It really helps me out. For this summer, I am posting 3 times a week, and subscribing is the best way to stay in the loop. I want to get everything covered now to keep filling in the paper and to get the colors darker. I begin with the earth green yellowish in a layer over the whole leaf for all of the leaves. I come in with the pine green and darken up the shadows even more and continue to push the blended edge out even further. With the permanent green, I want to come in and add a layer at the edges of the 2 outside leaves, as well as over the shadowed portion. The permanent green will brighten up the shadows, but it will also add a richness to the color since it is brighter. It adds a layer to the edge, which will be a little darker than the highlight part, but lighter than the shadow part. And most importantly, it adds in more green, as these leaves will be more green than the middle one. To the same two outside leaves, I use the grass green to add even more green, but to the whole leaf. So far, the leaves have been looking quite pale and yellow, which is fine for the bottom of the leaf, but not for the top of the leaf. So I am now adding in the green to the leaf. I add in more pine green along the shadows for these two leaves. For now, I'm going to focus more on these two leaves, as they now need more work to get their color up where it needs to be, while the middle leaf could technically be left the way it is. I add in some permanent green olive to the shadows and blend it out a little. I do this for all the leaves, but I give the middle leaf just the lightest of layers. I'm blending out the shadows along the ribs and the darker parts along the sides of the veins. I bring in the grass green for the large bottom leaf and add in another layer over the whole leaf. I come back with the permanent green olive for the left-hand leaf and do the same thing, blending out the shadows along the rib and the sides of the veins. I then use the grass green to tint the highlight with more green and add in another layer. I give the middle leaf a little grass green as well. With the yellow lemon, I add another layer over the highlight for both the side leaves and another layer over the middle leaf. The leaves are still looking a little too bright, which is fine for the middle leaf since I am assuming that is the lighter bottom part that I am seeing, but the side leaves are still too bright, so I come in with a layer of the permanent green olive over the whole leaf to tone down the color and make it darker. By adding a layer over the whole leaf, I am making it uniformly darker, which helps preserve all the work to get the shadows and highlights in the right spot. This preserves that contrast. I blend out the sides with more pine green, really bringing that blend even further into the highlight. I haven't given the leaf a uniform layer, but I am really close to doing so. I touch up the ribs with a little more grass green, then I begin adding in more layers over the background. I use the grass green and the earth green yellowish for a more uniform green layer. I also use the earth green yellowish along with the permanent green olive to help define more leaf-like shapes in the background. I make sure that any shapes I make are both leaf-like in shape and have fuzzy edges. I want nothing to be in focus. That will be it for today. Thanks for joining me for even more leaf coloring today. Let me know below or on social media if you colored along. I'd love to know how you did. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, MeWe, and Patreon. Patreon has a short write-up, my palettes, and a list of the timestamps, and I've made them available for everyone. If you have any questions or page requests, please leave them below or reach out to me on social media. I put in a list of chapter breaks in the show notes, as well as a list of equipment I like to use. If you use any of my affiliate links, it really helps me out without costing you a thing. I want to thank you all so much for coming along and joining in with me on this coloring journey. I appreciate all my subscribers and look forward to more of you joining in and coloring along with me. Please like, share, and subscribe to help that happen. Until next time, happy coloring!